Welcome back to Weekday, the show that just won't go away. With me now is the psychologist and author of the book, Tie Your Fears to Your Face, Dr. Otto Lipschwitz. Well, doctor, that's a very unusual name for a book. What exactly does it mean?
Well, it's quite simple, really. For example, if someone came into my office and complained of a terrible fear of cats, I would suggest that he or she tie a cat to his or her face. You would be surprised at how well this works. After about a week, you feel absolutely naked without a cat tied to your face.
Interesting.
Indeed. I had one patient who had this terrible fear of Europe. Of course, it's physically impossible to tie Europe to somebody's face. So I had to think about that one for a while.
Let me guess. You tied a map of Europe to his face.
No, we tied a map of Europe to his face. It did not cure his fear of Europe, but he gets along great with atlases. I have a great many male patients who complain of this fear of flying.
Really? Is there any reason why more males than females seem to be affected by this fear?
Well, they probably heard of my treatment. I tie a stewardess to their face. Sometimes I tie a stewardess to some guy's face, and I never see him again, or the stewardess.
Well, we're going to take some questions from the audience, Dr. Lipschwitz. I'm sure you'll have some very exciting answers for them. Yes, ma'am, may we have your name and your fear?
Emily Wingate, Fresno, California. Doctor, I'm afraid of having things tied to my face. What would you do with me?
Nothing. You're fine.
Well, before we go on to our next question, I have a young man here who has a dreadful fear of heights. We were wondering if you demonstrate your technique with us here on Weekday and for the people at home.
Very well. Let's see. What is the highest thing in the studio? Ah, yes. We will tie him to the ceiling.
Fine. May we have some stage hands, please?
You understand, it may take a while to cure him. In fact, it may take the whole show.
Come on. I really don't want to be hung.
We're very patient here at Weekday, Dr. Lipschwitz. I believe we have another question.
Yes, I'm Dr. E.H. Browning, Dean of Psychology at Yale University, and I think you are a fraud. You're going to be laughed right off this show. What do you think about that, buddy, huh?
Well, I think that Yale should be tied to your face.
No! John, no! I was blind!
Things about this kind of technique, it's always fascinated me. I'm
afraid of blow!
This field of science.
We're overstocked. We're literally bloated with this fantastic record offer. American Rondo Records presents a TV record you've been waiting for. 40 Fat Favorites! You get choking on a ham sandwich. She's too fat for me. She's too fat for my neighbor. She's too fat for the Shah of Iran. You're So Fat by Carly Simon. Fat Bottom Girls, Roundabout. Fat Gets in My Eyes by the Platters. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. The Beatles, She's So Heavy and Carry That Weight. The Rolling Stones, When the Whipped Cream Comes Down, and Oh, Be So Burden. The Last Train to Clarksburg, Low California Girls, You Don't Bring Me Chocolate. Ooh, Gravy, Gravy by Linda Ronstadt. Rod Stewart's Do You Think I'm Chubby, and many, many more. These are everyone's very heavy metal favorites. Send $8.98 for the album or $12.98 for the tape to Rondo Records, Royal Armenian Gardens and Motor Lodge, Route 6, Crumpstown. To avoid COD charges, call this toll-free number. Order now. There's certain to be no leftovers.
Thank you. With us today, we have Jorge Valique, self-proclaimed Filipino to the stars. Welcome, Jorge.
Thank you, Sophie. It's a pleasure to be here.
I've read an awful lot about you in the last few weeks, Jorge. Barbara Walters did that interview with you last week. But one thing has escaped me in all those interviews. What exactly do you do?
What do you mean, what do I do? I'm a Filipino to the stars. My name is Jorge Valique, Filipino to the stars.
Yes, I know who you are. What I want to know is, what do you do?
I think I know what you're trying to get at, Soph. Now let's say, Jorge, that I was a star, and I called you up, and you came over. Now what would you do for me as my Filipino?
Why don't you people understand me? Barbara Walters is quite bright compared to you two clowns.
Do you feel the stars are exploiting you just because you're a Filipino?
Let me down! I'm cured! I swear! Just let me down, please! Please!
Come on, Grandma's gonna tell us some more about the old world.
Honey, I told you to keep the kids away from Mother. Besides, I've got my sales staff coming over tonight to talk about mutual annuity
funds. How can
funds.
you talk about your own mother like that?
She's different.
Honey, everyone's different.
Yes, but she's really different.
message from the Department of Health, Education, and Protection of Alien Visitors to this planet.
With us now is Weekday's resident film critic, David Sylvester, with today's Weekday Film Review. David?
Thank you, John. Hollywood in the past has been very good about taking literary classics and transferring them faithfully to the screen. Films like The Grapes of Wrath, All the King's Men, Moby Dick, and Gone with the Wind were all great novels before they graced the silver screens of America. Not only were they popular, and I know they were because I could tell that you recognize those names, but they were faithful to the original novel. A lot of filmmakers today think it's an either-or situation, and well, that just isn't true. The reason I brought all this up is because I saw a film the other night that really disturbed me. It was, supposedly, a film adaptation of George Orwell's classic Animal Farm. At first I thought, yes, this will be interesting in the hands of one of the industry's bright young auteurs. Maybe some impressionistic sets, something new in the lighting department. And then I saw the name, John Belushi, in the opening credits. And I thought, finally, this man is going to get a chance to sink his teeth into some vital, important material. But what did I get? None of these things I mentioned earlier. No. The film I saw was nothing to do with the Animal Farm I know and love. First of all, the story was set in the early 60s on the campus of a small Midwestern college. That might have worked, but unfortunately Orwell's timeless scenario of humanity and economics was reduced to the most simple, base, and totally vulgar slapstick romp this reviewer has seen in a month of Sundays. Sorry, John Belushi, but your Animal Farm gets a big 0 from the Weekday family. John?
Well, David, I'm sorry to tell you this, but the movie that John Belushi was in was called Animal House, and it wasn't supposed to have anything to do with Orwell's Animal Farm.
Yeah, I know. I was just trying to, show Orwell's, like Belushi. He took this one beer can and he smashed it like a...
I'm not afraid of stealings anymore. I'd be okay if you just let me down.
Thank you for today's film preview, Dave. Our next guest is someone that the American public hasn't seen for over a year. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to welcome Mr. Elvis Presley. Well, Elvis, I know there's only one question on the minds of the entire American public at this moment, and that is, well, where have you been for the last year?
Well, John, it's like this. I was walking home from school one day when all of a sudden, like, this big twister blew up. The next thing I knew, I was in Oz. And the Wicked Witch was there. And I saw the wizard. And you were there. And you. And you. And when I got back from Oz, some aliens took me to Neptune, where I found Eddie Cochran.
I'm afraid that's about all the time we've got for today. Thank you for being with us, Mr. Presley.
Don't you want to hear about the ruby slippers and the flying monkeys?
No, Elvis. Join us tomorrow on a weekday when we'll talk to a doctor who tells us that feet are bad for us. And we'll take a funny look at genocide. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye!